honored to welcome you to our fourth think tank. Today we have over 500 people coming, physicians, social workers, educators, community leaders, and other professionals. As practitioners in the field, you really are the ones that are going to make a difference. You are the ones that will take this research and bring it to life. The theme of today's discussion, stress in the brain, the value of early relationships and self-regulation. Today, more people than ever are under stress and have anxiety.
Not just acutely, but over time, women's experiences affect the fetus and shape their future development. Really, this is the phrase to remember: how the first 9 months shape the rest of your life.
The wiring of the brain to get the infant ready to interact with this world through its sensory systems, what it hears, what it's going to smell, what it's going to see, what it's going to feel, that wiring begins during fetal development. In fact, we already know that for certain senses, they're actually operating during fetal development. What the brain does is use these experiences to fire neural cells together, and those that fire together wire together.
Why is it that early experience is so potent? How can it work that way? How can a simple experience that a baby has have a cascading set of effects in the brain that make a difference and allow early experiences to predict later outcomes?
We're born relatively immaturely. We're born into a social environment, and our brain is wired through social interactions, actually sculpted through the interactions we have. Social aspects of learning are incredibly important and central.
When parent and infant, both mother and father, coordinate synchronous nonverbal communication signals with their infants in the gaze, affect, vocal, and touch modality, there's a coordinated release of oxytocin, and there's brain-to-brain synchrony in key nodes of the social brain.
What about birth to 3? What's happening there to help set the stage for executive function development? Think about the adage of first things first. We've learned a lot today about the importance of adequate economic resources, nutrition and early feeding practices, routines for sleep and for living, and reduced stress as being critically important in setting the stage for healthy development.
There's a very common misperception we find in virtually everyone we work with, a tendency to confuse self-regulation with self-control. Self-control, of course, is about the effort that we want a child to make to control or restrain their impulses, but self-regulation is something very different. Self-regulation, in simplest terms, is about how effectively and efficiently a child deals with a stress and then recovers. The first step is identify what the child's stressors are and reduce those stressors. The second step of self-regulation is the step of self-awareness. Third step of self-regulation is, what do you do when you're agitated?
The research that we're doing in my lab suggests that playful learning can enhance social regulation, that collaboration piece, language and literacy, the communication piece, STEM, which is content, and even hypothesis testing like critical thinking.
One of the things we talked about is how people think in different ways. Behind us, we have in musical score.
I like to draw on notes and stuff. Well, each note, they're like individual people if they're in a piece, and they all have different moods and temperaments and personalities and stuff.
Really?
And directions and missions to fulfill. And so without one of them, the piece wouldn't be complete.
I think we just saw a profound embodiment of a human difference that was empowered and enabled. But I think many of y'all know that that ain't always the case. There are many forms of human difference that isn't enabled or empowered, but is disempowered and disabled. I was diagnosed with a whole bunch of different language-based learning disabilities, as well as attention deficit disorders. We can enable these differences. That's what happened in my life. My differences were enabled by folks who built a relationship with me, connected with me, and supported me. made that choice to see potential where others saw problems. And that matters more than ever. And this work is about ensuring that each and every one of us have a right to be different.
When the environment doesn't change and when you don't have a supportive advocate to help change the course of development, these effects tend to persist well into adulthood.
We need a major mindset change in the early childhood field. If you ask me what's the thing that has to dramatically change pediatric practice in order to promote healthier outcomes for kids, it's to stop focusing only on the kids and focus more on the adults. They need to be supported in their attempts to change their own lives.
We want happy, healthy, thinking, caring, and social children who will become collaborative, creative, competent, and responsible citizens tomorrow. It all starts with the social brain. It all starts with the social gateway as a foundation for all the learning that we're going to do.